Welcome to Ark Scorched Earth, or the hot-ass desert, whichever you prefer. This is the place that we would be spending the next 100 in-game days at. Scorched Earth was the first ever DLC introduced to Ark, and it added a wide range of new challenges, like sand and heat storms, along with water and many other essential resources being much harder to find. From its wolf and terrorbird infested spawn zones, the blazing hot desert dunes, and the almighty Wyvern trench, Scorched Earth is guaranteed to challenge even the best of Ark players. And our goal here was to take down the Alpha Manticore boss and ascend off of this map in under 100 days. So, we set out in a hot and sandy adventure. Day 1. We chose to spawn at Midlands 2, which was supposed to be an easy zone, but we soon found out that that was a lie. I awoke to the pleasant sight of Morellatops being eaten alive by a pack of hungry wolves. Luckily they were too busy to notice me, but I guess it doesn't really matter because I got murdered by a microraptor 30 seconds later. After spawning in again, I was lucky enough to be found by Chase. But that was about the end of our luck because a pack of hyenas had spotted us. After escaping the hyenas, Logan told us that he was near water, so we set out in search of him in the water. Somehow we had a cleared path right to the water and we met up with Logan. And I made a pickaxe and a hatchet, but there wasn't enough wood around to make any spears. So after leaving our safe zone in search of more wood, we stumbled into a pack of hyenas. They ripped Logan apart. Logan sacrificed himself for us. We viewed it as more of a positive than a negative, because me and Chase didn't die. But after the hyenas gave up and walked away, me and Chase hopped down and killed some jerboas for hide, which for some reason give an insane amount of hide for their small size. After all that, me and Chase saw some thorny dragons walking around near us, so we killed them. On us, we have to. Oh! Okay, he's dead. Unfortunately, though, the dead bodies attracted the hyenas, so not only did we get none of the hide, the hyenas were after us again. So I sacrificed myself and led the hyenas away from us. Come on! Ooh, I think they're faster than me. Yes, they're definitely faster than me. Okay. After I made it back to Chase, we wandered up the hill looking for resources, but we found a saber-tooth. Chase got scared and jumped off a cliff and broke his leg in half. Okay, I got it. Stop running away, you baby.
I have a broken bone.
But we killed the saber once he came down the hill. A couple minutes later, we tried to tame a wolf, but ended up killing it because of our absolute brute strength with these little slingshots. Then I finally made a bed so that Logan could respawn since he was completely incapable of making his way back to us on his own. Soon after that, we thought taming a Morellatops would be a good step forward. So we made a couple tranks and combined them with the few we had from killing wolves and such. But he ran out of arrows and had to change his slingshots. When he finally passed out, it was underwater, and then he drowned. Yep, he's dead. Well, free hide, I guess. But luckily we found some metal rocks where he passed out, so I guess we turned a negative into a positive? I don't really know. After we harvested all the metal, we tasked Logan with making a forge so that we could smelt our metal and make it a smith to allow us to make the desert cloth armor with metal tools and weapons. While he was out doing that, me and Chase farmed up some more narcotics to try and tame a Morellatops again. But when we went out looking for Morellatops, we ran into the hyena pack, and Logan got scared, and led the entire pack of 7 right into our base.
Chase, I'm running back to the base. I need your help.
Please do not bring a pack of hyenodons into the house. We tried to go into the water and hit them from below, but the hyenas weren't having none of it, so they killed all of us and took over our base.
Dogs! Damn.
They still attack. We had to cut our losses and leave all our stuff behind. Oh, and of course, since Ark can somehow sense pain in the player, it spawned a sandstorm right after this.
Go inside. Okay, now there's a sandstorm. Okay, how much for a tent? I need to learn this real quick.
But by some grace of God, we made it to Greenob with only Logan dying. But Greenob was just as nasty as everywhere else we had been. There were raptors, capros, and ants everywhere, so we didn't last very long. After I died, I made my way back to Greenob, but my fate remained the same. So am I! I'm dead.
Oh no!
I died to you!
He's about to die. Yes. What?
You killed me!
You killed him!
Then I made my way back again, but still my fate remained the same.
Dire. Not a dire bear.
Oh, he got me.
Dylan's probably gonna die.
So we gave up on Greenob and tried our luck somewhere else. Finally, we spawned in somewhere that seemed to be safe. My guess is because it had a titanosaur stopping around. He was like our guardian angel, but there was also a water vein, so because of this, our first goal was to make a water well to fill the water vein. Because for those who don't know, water veins can actually dry up if you drink from them too much and will only refill when it rains, which is pretty much never. But the only problem was that we needed cementing paste, and the only way to get it on this map is to make it. So in order to get chitin, me and Chase had to go on a jug bug killing spree.
Just stemberry.
That'll be good early game loot.
But of course, we were one paste short of being able to make it. You gotta be kidding me, bro. Look in this damn mortar and pestle. But no, what's even worse is look how many chitin we have. We have 3, and we need 4.
How much do we need?
While I waited on Chase to come back with more chitin, me and Logan expanded the base by 1 foundation. And once night fell, we were hit with our first ever lightning and thunderstorm, which for those who don't know, these storms will shut off all your electronics such as generators, and you can't use any guns during them. Not that either of these things really affect us right now, but I thought I'll explain it. Day 2. Right off the bat, we were attacked by a tech raptor, and of course Chase missed the bola again and died. Seriously, I don't know why we keep trusting with the bolas, but I killed the raptor and got some very valuable metal and oil from it. It also had a metal pick in its inventory, but I really don't want to know how it got in there. Then Chase tried to tame a jerboa, but I had to put an end to that because I needed the hide. Then we finally placed down the water well so we could drink without worrying. We forged up the metal from the tech animals and made a smithy so we could finally wear those sweet, sweet desert clothes. But first we had to harvest a bunch of silk from the surrounding flowers. Once we had the silk, I ran out to the dunes again to find some hide for the armor, which jerboa hide was going to have to do. I had to go AFK for a second, and then Logan led a pig right to me, which murdered me. Which I didn't know was his doing until I'm sitting here editing this video. I think he forgot that I was recording.
Called it. Freaking called it.
But after all that, I made it back to my bag, and we made the desert clothes. We looking good now.
Yes.
I don't know about that hat, though. Once we were all suited up, we realized that we desperately needed metal, so we walked across the dunes up in the mountainous area near our base. Logan found a few metal rocks closer against a cliff, but there was a terror bird terrorizing the nearby area. You see what I did there? Terror bird, terrorizing? Never mind. We took out the terror bird with the help of a parasaur and Dodicarus. After that, we gathered a small amount and walked a bit further and found even more metal. We heard a Carno stomping around above us, so we had to get real sneaky.
Uh-oh. I hear
What?
Carno, guys.
He's up there. Alright, everybody get down and get
You
sneaky.
might-
Now that we had all the metal, we were pretty encumbered, so we had to head home. But once home, the afternoon sun was super hot, and with no bodies of water around, heat stroke started to set in. But even with the sun's heat raging on, we didn't stop. We made up a few narcotics and went out to tame a low-level morellatops that had been walking around our base for a while. Once we started shooting them, it was pretty easy until I ran out of arrows. But Logan kept shooting him, and I focused on his friend who wanted to attack us now. He was so scared that he ran away from me at the sight of my bow. But right as that happened, our morellatops passed out. Oh!
He's out.
He's out!
Let's go.
Oh, Lord. But I realized with it being 120 degrees outside that we're going to need an adobe house, so I started on gathering cactus sap and sand. But I got a little sidetracked and tamed a jerboa. I named him Pip. Also, while I was exploring, the morellatops tamed up and Logan made the saddle. We named him Mr. Dribbles. But most importantly, we found out that Mr. Dribbles was extremely good at harvesting cactus sap, so getting clay was going to be much easier now. Holy smokes.
Yeah, dude.
But while I was exploring, I had found a better spot to build our base. It was much cooler and it was closer to some more essential resources, so we started to set up camp there. This took us into the evening, and right as the sun set on day 2, I placed our first adobe foundations. It was around 3 in the morning when our first ever heat storm hit.
And stuff.
No!
Oh! Uh-oh.
Guys, it's a firestorm.
Oh my god.
Luckily though, I had worked through the night and had some adobe walls and ceilings up, so we stayed cool. But I think it was mostly because it was at night. When morning finally came, the heat storm had passed, and I also finished our house. It was small, but it would have to do for now. Then I used our smithy to make a crossbow and a pike. A couple hours later, Logan told me he had found an Anki he wanted to tame that was right next to the house. But he had a friend hanging around him, so we had to kill it. But I guess we killed it so hard that it kind of freaked out.
Where'd he go? What the? Oh my god! Oh my god! Dude, what just happened? Dude, he's over here.
But after all that, we started shrinking the one that we wanted. It was really easy because the Anki couldn't even catch us, so he went down in only a couple minutes. But while we waited on the Yankee to tame, me and Logan went on a trail that led up the mountain. We were hoping to find some crystal, but we ended up finding something else instead.
Oh shoot, there's a ruin done.
Oh!
God!
No!
Run!
Oh my god!
Run!
Oh, he's throwing
Oh
rocks!
no! Oh god, that almost did. Oh
Okay.
god.
That was the end of our hike. After that incident, we went back to the house to cool off, but Trey started taming a Doedicurus right in our front yard without telling anyone, so we had to help him knock it out. But just like any other animal, it went down with a few good tranks right in the head. Towards the end of day 3, me and Logan went out to the dunes in search of any tames that could help us. Luckily, we found 2 wolves all alone, so we bowled them and knocked them out. Oh.
He's out. Oh my god, you almost shot him, didn't you?
I wanted some prime meat for them, so I went to kill a Titanabo I saw, but ended up getting knocked out. They killed me and Pip. The chase was kind enough to tame me another jerboa. I named her Tish. When we got back to the base, I named my wolf Mrs. Dog, and saw that the Doedicurus had finished taming. Right as the night started to set in, the Yankee was tamed during a sandstorm. I named him Hank Schrader because it rhymes with Ank. I also named the Doedic Randy the Roller. As soon as I longed on the Ark on day 4, I was met with Logan in a panic as he told me he was killed by a pack of Didaodons. Apparently he had been Microraptored off his wolf, and the wolf didn't make it. But fortunately there was a path that didn't have any Didaodons near it, so Logan was able to sneak through and get his stuff. But since Logan had lost our other wolf, we needed another tame. So we decided to try and knock out one of the Didaodons that killed him. We found 2 pigs hanging around alone, so we bullied them both and killed the low level. Come on! Yeah! Even though he escaped once, we bullied him again, and then he finally went to sleep. We also knocked out another wolf that was running around the dunes because Chase wanted him. At around 5 in the morning of day 5, the pig finally tamed.
I'll go stand by him.
Alright.
Yeah. Here, I'll name.
Then the wolf tamed, and we headed back to the house. I'd also opened a yellow drop that spawned out in the dunes while waiting for the wolf. I got a windmill. And then finally, it rained for the first time in 5 long and painfully hot days. Oh!
Oh, it's just a rain. Wait, it is rain.
It was beautiful. Jason and Logan had been breeding my wolf with the new wolf we got from the dunes, so now we had a rightfully sized wolf pack. And while they were imprinting and caring for their wolves, I made some dye. I went with brick coloring because it's not as intense and bright as normal red. While all the grand animals we had were great, we were really itching for a flyer, so me and Logan went out to find a moth, the pteranodon equivalent of Scorched Earth. We found a level 70 not too far from the base, so we bulleted it and shot it, but it escaped. However, it passed out while flying away and we moved in, but a saber-tooth had different plans and ate it. No! No!
God
Dude,
damn it.
damn
No
you.
shot, bro. Kill yourself.
Then went down towards the riverbed looking for some water and we found another moth. This one was only level 40, but we thought it really didn't matter, so we started tranking it, but he got away too and passed out in midair again. Oh, he's out!
Nice.
While I was guarding the moth, a terror bird attacked, but this time I was ready, so I bolted it and knocked him out. He was only level 10, but again, I didn't care. He tamed with only 2 prime meat, and I named him Giggy. On day 6, right as the moth tamed, a sandstorm hit, so we had to scrape up some resources and make a tent so we could wait out the sandstorm. When we got home, Logan went into the mountains on the moth and gathered his first bit of crystal. He got back just in time as another sandstorm hit, so we made the sand masks and tested them out. They work okay. But most importantly, we made spyglasses. The next few hours of day 6 were spent making clay up for the next base, so not much really happened on this day. But day 7 was a big day. We're going to try and get an argy. So I started the day by making an argy trap. This design is Captain fatdog, so I'll leave the link for this trap in the description. After the trap was made, we didn't have to go far for an argy, as there is one in our backyard. So we trapped him, and he was pretty stubborn, but we eventually got him in. He was only level 55, but it was good enough to start with, and he went down with ease. While Logan went out for hunting for prime meat, I made a saddle for him. Alright guys, I just made the saddle. The argy tamed shortly after. Right after the argy finished taming, me and Logan went up to the mountains to find another one, but I got stuck flying the moth. And we had horrible luck. All we were finding was level 5s and 20s. Finally we found a level 90, which isn't great when the max level is 150, but this is Scorched, so all the levels are super low, just like the island. So it was good enough. We used the same trap and had a much easier time getting him inside. He's in! Get it! There we go. Once again, we knocked him out quickly and had some leftover prime meat from killing a bunch of low-level argies, so he tamed up nice and quick. After he woke up, we got packed up and left for the house as the sun was starting to set on day 7. When we got home, I realized our argies were mate boosted, which meant I could breed them to get a third. So I did just that. Luckily it was almost night, which is the only time I was going to be able to hatch this egg, because argy eggs actually need cold temperatures to hatch, unlike most other eggs. My argy hatched only a few minutes later, and I named her Martha. Chase bred himself an argy too, so now we had 4. It was now day 10, and during day 8 and 9 we were just flying around looking for a new base location and making tons of clay to use on our new base. We finally decided on a spot really close to where we had been living. It was cool and had lots of trees and rocks, along with a nice pond. So we flew our animals down and started setting up a base. Then I went back up to our old house to get Mr. Dribble since we couldn't pick him up. I walked him down the hill and had the wolves and raptor follow me. While I was placing some foundations, a capro jumped at Logan and snatched him in his jaws, but instead of killing it, we tried to tame him. It was easy because it just stood there chewing on Logan while I shot it, but then he died and it grabbed me and started eating me. Right before I died, it started torpor running and it swam out into the water and passed out. On the morning of day 11, the capro tamed up and I named her Molly Ann. We were just starting to make adobe structures when I realized that we needed a ton of wood, and since wood is a scarce resource on this map, I wanted to maximize what we got from every tree. So we prepared to tame the only wood harvester on the map, the thorny dragon. We flew out to the one spot I had seen tons of them at, which was the desert dunes near our base. The first one I saw was level 70, which was a decent level for this map, so we started the taming. Logan picked him up and we thought we could shoot him out of the argy's talons, but he was attacking. Of course, right as we started, a heat storm hit. Martha, my bird, took one for the team and let the dragon beat her up while we shot it, but he eventually got scared of Martha and ran away and passed out a few moments later. Right after he passed out, something else caught my eye. Dung beetles. These guys were going to be essential for growing our crops since they turn poop into fertilizer way faster than a compost bin. So Chase and Logan scraped some turds off the ground and fed them to the beetles while I went home to grab our tent. Right as I got back, the heat wave ended.
Wait, it does. Oh yeah, it does. It works.
You gotta be kidding me. Come
Yeah,
outside!
all the way.
But it wasn't all negative because I saw a vulture flying around all alone, so I grabbed spoiled meat and tamed him. I named him Jose. The thorny dragon tamed a few hours later, and once we got back to the base I took him out to test him, and he was definitely an improvement over our axes. After that I got to laying the foundations of our new house. And on the morning of day 12 I dyed my hair gray. On day 14 I opened a red drop and got a ramshackle argy saddle. Then I almost killed myself by falling off. Logan reminded me that we had an oil pump from a supply drop and I knew there was an oil vein somewhere. So we put that down as it's the only way to get oil on this map. Oh, and apparently we had a fabricator at some point during all this, but I don't remember. Then I put down the finishing touch of our first building, the ceiling. Now we were in business. Since we had a fabricator, it was only a matter of time until we started making electrical equipment like lights and such. So we put down a windmill that we got from a drop so we could have power. The windmill was important because generators actually degrade over time and eventually will break on this map. I'm guessing it's because of the sand. But I got back to building and started the other side of the base. It was about time we got into the industrial age, so we crafted up a grill so we could cook our meat much faster. I finally finished the ceiling on the other side of the base, and now the house was pretty much done. Day 16 was all the same as the previous days. Nothing important happened except building, but I pretty much finished the second half of the base on this day. The morning of day 17 I saw that the greenhouse had been finished. Logan had been working on this while I was building the main base. It wasn't anything crazy special, but to get the job done and allow us to grow all our crops with 300% greenhouse efficiency. Trey saw that there was a Procroptodon stuck in some of our animals, so we tried to trap it, but it ended up escaping. We chased after it on our wolves. but shooting something that runs so fast with a crossbow while riding a wolf sounds a lot easier than it actually is. I even went home to make some billboards to trap it, but that was almost impossible, so we eventually gave up. It was only level 100 anyways. Since there are no Fiumia on Scorched Earth, we had no way to get large amounts of poop for the greenhouse. So I had the wonderful idea to follow Titanosaur around until it pooped, because Titanosaurs actually have a separate class of poop. The massive turd.
That is one big pile of shit.
Which to my knowledge, no other creature in the game can produce this. I got the 35-pound turd shortly later. Once I got home, I gave the Titan turd to my dung beetle, and he acted like it was a gift from God. Logan also placed our first light down, so now I could see at night since it gets pitch black for some reason. Then I placed around 10 large crop plots outside for decoration. I was planning to go Savaroot plants in these because they looked the best. I irrigated them by connecting my pipes to the ones Logan had already placed and tapped into them using a flexible pipe. The dung beetle had finished the Titan turd I gave him, so I went on to get another one. I never would have thought having a Titanosaur near your base would be such a helpful thing. Once back to the base, I took all the fertilizer out of the beetle and put it in the crop plot so I could plant the Savaroot seeds. Logan had also made himself a refrigerator so he could store goods for longer without them spoiling. I made myself a fridge shortly after. I also started on this dividing wall in our main room so we could separate the smithing area from the kitchen. Early in the morning of day 19, I flew south to the major wreck spawn on the map. I knew from the levels we'd seen earlier in this playthrough that finding two opposite gender high-level Rexes was going to be quite challenging, so I started looking now. If you don't already know about it, this spot on the map is one of the only Rex spawns on the whole map, so there's a 99.9 guarantee that there's going to be a Rex here when you kill one. A new one will spawn almost immediately if you leave render range of the area, so you can completely abuse this system to have infinite Rex spawns until you get a level that you want. I also grabbed some organic polymer from the local mantises. This stuff is really great because it basically eliminates the need to make traditional polymer, which is horrible to make, especially on this map when there's no way to get cementing paste other than making it by hand. I opened this red drop that spawned right next to me, and this is the best example I could ever ask for just to show you how ridiculous these supply drops are on this map. 3 windmills. 3. After I left that drop, I saw a blue one near me, so I went over to it and I saw something that really surprised me. A wyvern flying around all alone. Now I know now that the Wyvern trench is on the complete other side of the map, so I'm guessing that Wyverns can randomly spawn outside of the trench on this map. And this idea was super foreign to me because on all the other maps that have Wyverns, none of them have Wyverns randomly spawning. So because of this, I was unable to get the drop. In the afternoon of day 19, we all left the house and flew towards the mountains. We'd made some gilly from the organic polymer I got while looking for Rexes, as we were looking for a Tapahara. Tapaharas are not my favorite flyer, but they are really good on Scorched Earth because they're Norpteranodons. They can fit 3 people on the saddle at the same time, and this would be great if it wasn't for their terrible weight stat. The Tapahara would also be amazing for the Wyvern trench because they can fly much faster than an argy. While I was looking, I found a level 140 Uranus. Whoa, 140 Udi! And we would definitely be back to tame him. I was having terrible luck looking. I hadn't seen a single Tapahara, but Logan told me he had found a level 85 near Red Obelisk, so I headed there. The Tapaharas can be very difficult to tame because they are super skittish and run away from you as soon as you get near them. It doesn't help that they spawn on these crazy steep mountains, so it's impossible to bowl them. Once I found him, I went down and killed these hyenas that were near him so I could get on the ground, but I think I ended up scaring him away. Of course, he flew over to an area worse with a rock golem. I scared him back over to a safe place. I moved in with the bola, but I missed. It was the worst bola attempt I think I've ever seen.
Don't miss. Don't miss.
Dude, he turned!
That wasn't even close.
He saw me!
What the hell?
What the?
No, we didn't.
Oh, he was standing still! Chase would be proud. But then he got scared, and I'm guessing it was because Chase flying right next to him on an argy with no gilly. And now we get to see the other horrible part about these guys. They will fly thousands of feet up into the air, and it is impossible to get them down unless you have rare flowers, which of course we don't. I picked up Logan so he could shoot from my talons and knock it out like a Quetzal, but shooting these guys in midair while they're running might as well be on the list for top 10 hardest challenges in the world. Oh, and just like clockwork, the game sensed pain and anger, so it spawned a sandstorm. We had to land and camp out in a tent. I had no idea where Chase was at this point. He probably ran home to hit rocks and do parkour around the base. After the sandstorm, we picked up our tent and left to find the Tapahara again. This time I was shooting from the talons. We looked and looked for the Tapahara and we just couldn't find him. He was long gone. We couldn't even find a different one. There was also a heat storm about 10 minutes after the sandstorm. God, I hate this map. So by this time we were so pissed off and annoyed at this stupid bird we flew home. It was day 20, so we were officially 1/5 of the way done with this butthole of a map, and today we did something that we really shouldn't have done. We went back to the mountains to look for the Tapahara. I found a silver level 130 pretty quickly, and I cleared out the area. But it didn't matter because he got spooked to something and flew straight up into the sky like the previous one. So it was back to plan A. Logan picks me up with his argy and I shoot. This was going horribly, as expected, until he flew right over the massive Wyvern trench. Ain't no way!
Oh my god.
Bro!
No shot. Okay, well we found the Wyvern trench.
Now I knew where it was, and how wonderful that I got to find it this way. We chased him all the way to the edge of the dunes until he was hitting the map border, and I was running out of trinks and patience, so before something expensive got broken in my room, we went home and officially gave up. What a wonderful day. By the time we got home, it was the morning of day 21 and we had shifted our sights from Tapahara to Wyverns. The only problem is there are no pteranodons, so getting eggs on this map is much harder than any other map. So we had to resort to an old method, the turret tower. We would make 2 auto turrets and lead the Wyverns to them so they get shot out of the sky, since we don't have any other way of killing the Wyverns ourselves or outrunning them. While me and Logan gathered the metal, paste, and electronics you need for the turrets, Chase was making hundreds of bullets we would need. I also made a small stone shack that would house the generator and we could hide in just in case. After I made the structures, I realized we're going to need thousands of gunpowder and spark powder to make these bullets, and the best thing to doing that is the chemistry bench. The only problem was I was a few levels short of learning it, so I grabbed an explorer note for the XP bonus and killed some Rexes in the infinite spawn area. This method wasn't working very well though, so I just flew around the dunes looking for explorer notes, because they not only give an XP bonus, they give a good amount of XP. Finally I learned the chemistry bench, so I grabbed a bunch of chitin while I was in the dunes for the cementing paste. While I was doing this, Logan told me he had found a red loot crate in the desert. But of course he was only level 79, we needed to be level 80 to open them. So I rushed across the map to find it before it despawned. When I finally got there and opened it, it was okay. Just some journeyman riot gloves and a deer saddle, which don't even spawn on this map. When I got home I grabbed the stone buildings, the generator and its cables, and the turrets, and me and Logan flew to the Wyvern trench to set it up. We chose this land bridge that went over the trench, but we were still waiting on the bullets in the chemistry bench, so we went home. In the meantime I made this ramshackle wood shotgun that someone had gotten out of a supply drop. The morning of day 23, and I was out in the dunes again. This time I was getting organic polymer from the mantises to make the chemistry bench. When I got home to base, I put the polymer in the fabricator, and it was the last thing we needed to make the chemistry bench, so I made it. Right after we transferred everything from the mortars, I powered up the chem bench and made some bug repellent. This wouldn't be important for now, but I would need it for a tame a little ways down the road, when I flew to Green Up to make some cryopods. But once I got home, I was greeted to a little disagreement between Logan and Chase. Oh, and a heat storm. I was just laying on the ground crafting some ceilings when things escalated very quickly. Chase somehow pulled a rocket launcher out of his ass and was pointing it at Logan. Then this happened.
Gonna do it. So. Oh! Oh!
Yeah, half of our house just got blown away by Chase and his rocket launcher. But of course the chemistry bench I made 10 minutes ago also got disintegrated. So, after a long time of repairs, apologies, and grinding, we got the chemistry bench remade. And it was now day 32. So, I think the server stayed up all night because I forgot to turn it off. But it's okay because I messed up the day cycle in the very beginning anyways. So this is much closer to what day we should be on. And today was the day, Wyverns. Me and Logan set out towards the trench with around 700 rounds of ammunition for our auto turrets. Chase stayed home because he didn't want a Wyvern because he's a weirdo. I mean, who the hell doesn't want a dragon? But on the way we saw a fire Wyvern flying around. It wasn't too far from our base, but it wasn't close enough for us to worry about it. But remember him, because he's going to become important shortly. A little bit later, we arrived at the fortress, or shack, whatever you prefer. I loaded up the turrets and set them to only shoot wild animals from a high distance, so that we are ready to start our descent into what is basically hell instead of hell in Ark. It wasn't long before we found our first Wyvern. It was a fire one. In my opinion, the second most dangerous. It was low level, so we were able to kill him with the birds instead of using the turrets. Then we led a lightning Wyvern to the turrets, and they took care of it with ease.
Oh, damn. Dude, that wasn't even that many bullets.
So you remember that fire Wyvern I was talking about earlier that was near our base? Well, apparently it had made its way to our base, or Chase had led it to the base. We never really found out the truth of what happened. But it was attacking our animals. I was on my way to the base when it unfortunately killed Mr. Dribbles, Armarella Tops. Then it massacred my boy, Jose, the vulture. But thankfully, Chase killed it. Both of these animals will be greatly missed, but Mr. Dribbles was our first real tame and Jose was my friend. So I was very sad about both of their deaths. But I had a mission to complete, so I was back to the trench. I finally found our first egg, a level 80 fire egg, and a level 45 fire egg was right next to it. For some reason this trench had tons of wyverns in it, but hardly any eggs. I don't know if this was a Scorched Earth thing or this was an error with my server, so I've never had an issue like this before on any of the other maps. We finally had a streak of luck when we found this level 130 fire egg. Level 130!
Ooh, alright.
This was one that we had to take. We got ambushed by some wyverns before I had the chance to grab it. This pack tore us up pretty good, so we had to take a minute to heal. After that, Logan went in and grabbed the egg. He had quite the party following him too, and since lightning wyverns have some real range on them, he wasn't able to make it to the turrets in time.
Nope.
Oh, damn it! No!
Oh!
God damn. So it was up to me. I flew in and tried to get the egg, but the lightning wyvern saw me before I could grab it. I barely made it to the turrets, but I had to go back. This time I made it to the bag and grabbed the egg. I made it to the turrets, but the wyverns wanted me more. There's a lightning! There's a lightning! Okay. It's not dying!
Being damaged.
Okay, it's down. We had successfully gotten our first wyvern egg. This would make getting more eggs a breeze in the future, but with gain there is always loss, so RIP to Logan's argy. When I got back to base, Trey surprised me with a new vulture. We made a lot of campfires to hatch the eggs, but I almost doubt we needed them because of how hot it can be. While the egg was incubating, we made a generator because for some reason our windmills turned off for a really long time. Like we had literally gone 3 real-life hours without any electricity. I have no idea why our windmills stopped working, so we had to make a generator, but the problem with that is that generators lose 1 durability every like 45 seconds, so eventually it would just blow up. On day 33, the wyvern egg finally hatched, and it looked really cool. It was all black with red wings, and while Logan was caring for his wyvern, I went on a metal run. I was going to try and make an industrial forge. Not only can the forge smelt metal way faster than a small forge, it can burn wood at a super fast rate and give you charcoal, which we needed a lot of charcoal because it's the main ingredient in gunpowder. Bullets aren't cheap. By the time I got home, Logan's wyvern was much bigger and he was close to finishing imprinting on it. By the morning of day 34, we were flying back to the wyvern trench. This time it was me and Chase on some argies. Logan would be coming to help us as soon as his wyvern was fully matured. Once we were in the trench, we went the opposite way we had come from. It wasn't long before we found our first wyvern, a poison wyvern. He was low level, so we killed him with our birds. But when we went back into the trench, a fire wyvern surprised us, and this time we had to go to the turrets because I was low on stamina. Chase fell behind and the wyverns killed him and his bird. Oh god!
Oh no! Already?
The wyverns were too worried about him to come after me, so I was able to make my escape. But another fire wyvern came after me, and this time I led it to the turrets. However, this wyvern destroyed our generator through the walls, and the turrets were down. The turrets had done enough damage so I was able to finish him off with my argy, but by this time Logan's wyvern was done, so I asked him to bring me a new generator. While Logan was setting up the generator, I went back into the trench. This time I attracted a lightning wyvern. This would be a big mistake. Get off of me, you stupid bat. Ow! Okay, he's got hella good aim. Oh! Dude, I'm not gonna make it, dude. I'm not gonna make it. Yep.
God damn it.
Rest in peace, Martha the Argentavis. The good news is before I died I saw an egg, so I sent Logan in to look at it because at this point his wyvern was the only flyer we had. Once he was in, it turned out the nest I had seen contained a level 140 poison egg, so he grabbed it. Somehow he made it to the turret without attracting even one wyvern, but we still weren't done. Chase still needed a wyvern, so Logan went back in to grab the level 80 fire egg that we saw a few days earlier. This time though, he definitely got some friends. He brought 4 wyverns back, and the turrets started shooting them. I guess this pissed them off even more than Logan stealing the egg, so they turned their attention on little old me standing butt naked with 2 turrets. Ah! I died, but I was a sacrifice that was worth it, as Logan was able to make it home with 2 eggs. Since I died, I had to remake everything over again, but I didn't really mind because I left most of my important gear at home, because I knew there was a high chance that I would die. After all that, we wasted no time hatching these eggs. We hatched both of them at the same time. Chase was hatched first, and you can tell just how good of a parent he'll be because his wyvern was sitting on top of 3 fires burning alive for like 2 minutes. Mine came a few minutes later and it was beautiful neon green. I was hoping for a yellow poison wyvern like some of the ones we saw at the trench, but I guess not. Then, Chase's redemption happened. A level 140 kangaroo got stuck in our animals. If this wasn't a message from the art gods, I don't know what was. This time we trapped him in with the billboards and he got knocked out easy.
I got this.
Oh, he's
There
out.
we go.
Also, while this was happening, I named my wyvern Green Goblin. I'm really running out of ideas for these wyvern names, because they're on almost every damn map in the game now. The morning of day 35, my wyvern was all grown up. Yes, I know we didn't get milk, and I apologize that we have boosted maturation settings on our server, but I'm not about to sit here for 9 hours when we're waiting for some fake video game animal to grow up and need care and attention in the most inconvenient times. Kangaroo also tamed this morning. We named him Big Roo. We needed to finish the industrial forge, so I was back out in the dunes getting polymer and chitin to make the cementing paste. The other guys were working on the other materials. While I was doing this, I found a red loot crate, and I'll let this thing speak for itself. Oh my god.
Do you just get a pump?
Still got an
Tank?
indie forge. He got a.
He definitely got a Mastercraft pump.
I got 2 Bronto saddle blueprints.
Did
Brontos
you
don't even spawn on this map.
You got 2 of the same.
I got
ass
2
thing.
of the same, and they're both platform saddles. While I was nearby, I went to the Wyvern defense shack and grabbed the turrets. I was gonna put them in front of the house so these stupid Morellatops would stop walking on top of all our animals. And when I got home, I did just that. All my super intense labor was finally worth it when I made the industrial forge.
I am so poor.
I placed it behind the house. Morning of day 36, I was looking for Rexes. I already been out all night and I was about to give up when I found this. A level 150 perfect Rex. This was the best of the best. Nothing could be a higher level. And after looking for days on end without finding anything higher than an 85, this was like a godsend to us. I immediately called over the guys to my location as we needed to tame this thing as soon as possible. While they were on their way, I ran home to grab my extra tranks. Once I got back, it was a typical Rex tame. One person run around with the Rex chasing them and the others shoot it. After what felt like forever and going to a stockpile of trank arrows, he passed out. Out!
Yeah!
I think it took forever because we have primitive crossbows and long necks, because this map was dropped such absolute booty hole. The sun was setting on day 36, and the beast finally woke up. Unfortunately, he tamed with an 88% taming effectiveness, because we fed him prime meat, which is fine for an animal like a Rex, but for something that's such a high level, you really want something like mutton or kibble. And we didn't have kibble because we were too lazy to make it, and mutton is really hard to find on this map. We got back to base with the Rex on day 37, and I had something that I wanted to tame. This is why I made bug repellent, so I grabbed everything and flew to the dunes. I found what I was looking for pretty quickly. Now Arthros are kind of a weird tame. You need ghillie and bug repellent, and then you tame them passively. Normally you would use Broth of Enlightenment, but I don't think you can make that on Scorched, because the recipe requires woolly rhino horns, and obviously woolly rhinos don't spawn on this map. So I had to use spoiled meat instead. The tame is really easy because you're basically invisible to them with repellent and ghillie on. When I got home, I tried to make the saddle for an Arthro, but I needed obsidian to make it, so it was back to the mountain. Then I made some darts for the long neck I made like 4 days ago, but never took out of the smithy. I also made a vault so I could store all my junk in it. Since we were nearing the halfway point of this playthrough, we thought it'd be a good idea to start thinking about some artifact caves. We knew there was only 3 artifacts to find, which is kind of a disappointment to us, but we still had no idea what these caves would be like. For starters, we wanted to tame a Thyla because they're probably the all-around best cave dino on this map. If you don't know, Thylas have a nasty bleed effect they give to anything they attack. This bleed effect does around 5% of the victim's total health. This is really good for killing anything that's a high level or has a high amount of health. I knew they spawned up on these cliffs near the oil pump, so we went looking there. This was much easier than I thought because we found a level 130 after looking for only around 10 minutes. I picked him up and flew home. I have the Thyla in my Wyvern's claws while Logan shot at it with the tranks. This is a super easy and effective because the animal can't go anywhere or attack. It drops out of the claws as soon as it falls asleep. However, the tricky part about taming a Thyla is that they don't like raw meat. Yeah, the vicious beast that will maul anything to death likes medium rare steaks with a nice char and some chives. Also, their taming effectiveness will get absolutely shredded if you feed them anything except cooked lamb chops or exceptional kibble. So the only choice I had was to find a sheep. I actually found one pretty easily because there's 3 small spawns for these guys. The problem is that everything wants to eat them, so that's what makes them really rare. So I got back and cooked all the lamb up just for this guy's effectiveness to get shredded anyways. While I was waiting for this guy to tame, I flew to Green Ob to make some more cryopods. I also looked for some more Rexes, but sadly I had no luck, until I looked up to the tame tracker and saw that Thyla was about to wake up. Logan was supposed to watch him, but I forgot he was AFK, so I sat here for an eternity waiting for this guy to tame. Finally tamed, I named him Cheeto Puff because he's big, fluffy, and orange. Also, if you're wondering why Puff only has one F at the end, it's because apparently Puff is considered profanity over at Wildcard headquarters. I also made up a set of flak armor for our upcoming cave adventure. I spent day 40 looking for a high-level female Rex, which was worth it because I actually found a level 150 female right as I was going to give up. Oh! Female!
What?
150! So I got Chase out here and we started knocking her out. She finally passed out in the morning of day 41. Just so happened that she passed out right next to this big temple, which according to Chase housed an artifact cave. So we went and got Cheeto Puff, Miss Chop, and a dire wolf and went into the cave. It was going really well until a rubble golem showed up. Now rubble golems are basically just rock golems but much smaller with a lot less health. I believe they only spawn in these caves. The Thyla's Blade would prove to be super helpful in killing this guy because it ignores all his damage reduction and does a percent. He went down after a while of biting at him. And not too far forward we found a blue supply crate. Logan opened this one and got apprentice desert cloth leggings. But unfortunately it wasn't a blueprint, so we couldn't make them too. Then we came up with our first cave split. We chose to go left. Thankfully we did because there was a yellow drop. Chase opened this one and got a blueprint for ramshackle desert cloth boots. And I found this weird tech thing coming off the wall, and I remembered that on the story arcs, there are hidden explorer notes in some of the caves, but the only way to access them is with Helena, so I got it. Now we're in this big open room with some parkour jumps leading to the artifact. I decided to go because the Thyla has the best jumping abilities, and there was another rubble golem, but this one I just tried to lead off the cliff. Oh!
Oh my god. Oh, damn. That just hit Chase.
Oh guys, he made it over the freaking ledge!
Oh no.
But apparently they can scale 90-degree cliffs with ease, and even after I tried it again, this thing was actually pathfinding its way to us. I wasn't even mad at this because this is an incredible feat for Ark dinos, but we had to kill him.
Yeah!
I made my way over to the other side and I killed all the mantis that were over there. I had to sneak past another rubble golem to get to the artifact, but this time I made it. The artifact of the destroyer was now ours. Also the scorched sword skin, but no one uses swords. Like honestly, please let me know if you use swords in this game because pikes are way better. After all that, we made our way out of the cave and everything had respawned, so we had to have a fight to get out. By the time we got out, the Rex had finished taming, so we corralled him and left. I finished off the day by harvesting some obsidian in a pitch black cave so I could make the artifact stands. I started day 42 by making the artifact stands and placing the artifact of the destroyer on it. I also named the Arthopleura Arthi, then we proceeded to waste the rest of the day. It was now day 48. Yeah, you're probably wondering what the hell happened to the last 6 days, and well, nothing really. I've been breeding the Rexes non-stop and stockpiling eggs for to hatch for the Rex army. I also learned the air conditioner so I could hatch the eggs, but I needed crystals, so I went on a crystal run. When I got back, I realized I needed metal too, so I was back to the mountain. On the night of day 48, me and Chase decided we were going to run the artifact cave again so we could get a second artifact and hit some more of the loot crates. We got to the cave at 2 in the morning of day 49 and we ran in. This time we had Cheeto Puff and Miss Chop. There was a rubble golem in the same place as before, but we had no problem killing him. And after that we found another blue crate in the same spot as before. This one had a blueprint for ramshackle desert cloth gloves. As we were going deeper we found a large flock of bats, and then the inevitable happened. Rabies. Now rabies is really dangerous in this game because it does a large amount of your health quickly and has an 80-second timer before it goes away. I believe if you have around 250 health or more you can survive rabies, but it's going to leave you in really rough shape. We survived this rabies infection and kept going. But we found another pack of bats and got rabies again. Because we were already hurt from the previous rabies, this time we had a good chance of dying. We realized this and started running to the top of the cave just in case. Fortunately, Chase died on his way up, but we were already far enough that I wasn't worried. I somehow survived with 12 health. I was really surprised that we got rabies twice in quick succession like that, because when you're riding an animal, your chances for rabies are much slimmer than if you're getting hit while on foot. Once Chase got back, we went down to get his stuff, and this time he brought his wolf James with us. This time we made it down to the main room with no problems, but there was another rubble golem, so we killed him. Right as I made it across, there was a red loot crate, and I should have let Chase open it.
What'd you get?
I got a freaking Ascendant Marilla top saddle. Then I grabbed the artifact again and was on my way out. We got back to base, I made another artifact stand and moved them to be behind the main gate. I also had 2 more Rex eggs waiting for me. I set some foundations down so I could place the air conditioners on them. This is where I would hatch the Rex eggs. Later that night I placed the air conditioners down and got them hooked up to the electricity. It was day 50. We were now halfway done with the Scorched Earth map and I couldn't be any happier. Today started by hatching our first Rexes for the army. I had a few eggs stored away from when I let the Rexes breed while we were gone doing things. I just started with 2 eggs. The eggs hatched a few minutes later, and they were a male and a female. Now I'm not doing any mutations for this army because the Manticore is probably the easiest boss in the whole game, and even on Alpha, he isn't a very big challenge. I was just trying to get each of the parents' good stats on the babies and imprint on them. While they were growing up, I bred the Rexes again for some more eggs. I hatched this one too, and for some reason he was almost 30 levels higher than his parents, so if anyone knows how that's even possible, please let me know. And he wasn't even mutated. On the night of day 50, I did the final imprint for the Rexes. Now I just have to wait for them to grow up so I can make the saddles and level them. After waiting for the Rexes to grow all the way, it was now day 53. But today was another boring breeding day. Today was a cave day. There's 2 other artifacts we need, and Chase told us he knew where a cave entrance was, so we set out to find it. We found the cave pretty quickly, and it brought us through this massive crack in the ground. We ran around these random tunnels in the really horrible lighting until we found the cave entrance. And this cave, for some reason, is really hot. I always thought that the caves on this mountain were supposed to be cool since it tells you to go underground when a heat storm comes, but this cave was way hotter inside than it was outside. About 40 seconds in, we found a blue crate. Of course, since I opened it, it contained some horrible garbage. Ramshackle thorny dragon cell.
What was the other item?
Nothing, that was literally it.
Wait, it didn't have 2 items. What?
No, it only had that.
It always has 2 items in there.
Not too far ahead, we found our first rubble golem. Once again, he was no trouble for us. I also found another one of these hidden tech explorer notes. There was a hole in the wall that my Thyla couldn't fit through, so I had to cryo him and I walked through. On the other side was the main artifact room. Now this room has a huge rock pillar in the middle and you have to spiral down to get the artifact. And I have to say that this is probably one of the cooler caves in the story arc lineup. A little ways down we found a red crate.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
What?
Oh, bruh.
Oh shit.
Please tell me that's a big. Oh my.
Oh, okay, he fell down.
Did he, or is he gonna climb back up?
Oh my god, no, he's all the way down there. And of course, once again it had some garbage. But we kept moving down and now I had eyes on the artifact. But the rubble golem we let off the cliff earlier was waiting for us and he wasn't too happy. So we took care of him. Now we had the artifact of the gatekeeper. Once we were out, we all just wanted to get the caves over with, so we went out in search of the final cave. We found the final cave at around noon of day 54. We went inside and were immediately greeted by wolves. Now, I hadn't seen any wolves in the other caves so far, so I was a little worried what we might find in this cave. But we led them forward into this water area, and it was like shooting fish in a barrel. After that, I jumped across right on top of a rubble golem. This time he got stuck on our animals and couldn't attack us, so once again, he proved to be no problem. After that, we made our way into a big room while there was another rubble golem, so we killed him. While we were clearing out the rest of the area, I spotted a red crate at the bottom of this water area, so I jumped in to get it. And of course, I got the best loot out of it. After I got out, the artifact was just around the corner. Now we had the final artifact, the artifact of the crag. Overall, I was kind of disappointed with the caves this map has to offer, not because of how they look, but because none of them are unique, like the poison cave or ice caves on the island. All these caves are super easy and basic with a straight linear path right to the artifact. And I really hope they give this map some more artifacts and caves, or at least change and update these caves that it does have in the Ark Ascended. Once we got home, it was the morning of day 55. I started out by placing the artifacts down on some pedestals. I also started breeding the Rex again. After they finished, I had 2 Rex eggs, and while these eggs were hatching, I left Chase to raise them when I went to go find a deathworm. Now, deathworms are basically giant worms that hide under the sand dunes, and these guys give some resources that can't be found anywhere else on this map, such as angler gel and black pearls. I needed black pearls because they are required to make the gas masks, which is needed for the Manticore boss fight. I also wanted one for killing all the wyverns for their talents, since poison wyverns can kill you off of a mount with their spit. Luckily there's an exploit to find these things in which you go into orbit cam and zoom all the way out and fly low to the ground. This way you can see under the ground and see the deathworm hiding under the map. It didn't take me long to find one, so I uncrowded a Rex I brought from home and started killing it. Unfortunately, I got leech blood, which I forgot they drop, and the way these things work is that you can only get one of their special resources per kill. So I needed to find another one if I wanted black pearls, so I was back out on the hunt. I spent the whole night looking for another worm, and I found another one right next to the Wyvern trench on the morning of day 56. But this time I got angler gel. After all that, I went home and uncrowded the Rex, because he was too low to fight. Shortly later, me and Chase left to go to the Wyvern trench. We needed to start getting Wyvern talons for the boss fight, and since we're doing the alpha, we need 20 of each Wyvern talon, and they only drop 1 per kill. The plan was to use the Rexes to kill the Wyverns, That way we didn't risk losing our wyverns and we could level up the Rexes at the same time. Now if I showed us killing every single wyvern, then this video would be like 4 hours long with 3 hours being just of us killing wyverns. So enjoy this super sped up time lapse of us killing them all. Once day 60 rolled around, a lot of our Rexes had finished growing and we were almost done with our army. And as night set in, we hatched the last 3 members of our Rex army. On day 61 we flew back to the Wyvern Trench again. After all that, it was now day 83, and I woke up with this beautiful tattoo done professionally by Chase. Now we were back to the Wyvern slaughter again. That's it. All 60 Wyvern talons had been obtained. There's 2 important pieces of our army that were missing. A Uranus and gas masks. I didn't want to go deathworm hunting again, so I decided to find a Udi now. So Udis are basically a necessary tame to bring into the boss fight because they can Courage Warrior Rexes, which give them 25% more attack damage and a 25% damage reduction from all incoming attacks. Damage reduction is so important since we're only using primitive saddles, and the damage increase is important since the Manticore has crazy damage reduction. Which I don't really know why they bothered doing all that, because at the end of the day, the Manticore has damage reduction, which the other bosses don't. But then he has way less health than the other bosses, so he basically just turns out being the exact same. I don't really know what was going on in their heads when that was decided, but I don't care. Anyways, we searched everywhere and we could not find a UD at all, not even a low level. So at this point I really had no idea what to do until I found this level 40. Now I know what you're saying, oh my god, it's only a level 40, ew. But in reality, the UD isn't even going to fight anything, and if we lose him halfway through the fight, I really don't think it's going to be a huge deal. So we started knocking him out. By the time this dude went out, it was early morning of day 86. So we popped some prime in him and started waiting. Tamed about halfway through the day and I named him Big Yeller, because he yells. When we got back to base, we had a massive healing session with Mrs. Chop so we could get all our Rexes up to max health. By the way, the Rex stats are at about 20k health and 500 to 600% melee. They're also rocking good old primitive saddles since there was no way we could find a blueprint. They also have no mutations and are imprinted and fully leveled. Of course, our leveling stats are also official, so there's none of this 2000 health per level BS that I see so much on some other videos. And that was pretty much all we needed, but it wasn't. I forgot we still needed black pearls for the gas mask, so I had to go looking for a death worm. This time it actually took me a while until I finally found one in the middle of the night. I killed him and was rewarded with 5 black pearls. Seriously, how in the hell do they expect people to make tech on this map when you're getting 5 pearls per death worm and they're not even guaranteed? But here's the funny part. While I was flying home, Chase somehow got his wyvern killed by a death worm.
You serious?
Yeah, the dragon that flies died to something that can't even move. So don't ask me how he managed that. So I flew over to help him. By the time I got there, it was day 87 and the worm was almost to the trench. So I picked up Chase and we flew home. Rest in peace, level 80 fire wyvern. Once I got home, I went to craft a substrate, but I couldn't. Now, the engram list says the absorbent substrate requires 2 black pearls, but since you can only craft this stuff in the chem bench, it requires 8 black pearls since the cost is multiplied before, and it crafts in 6s instead of 1s. Don't question me on the math there. Long story short, I was 3 pearls short. But since Chase's wyvern died, we knew where another death worm was. So we rushed over and found him a ways out in the dunes. But we killed him, got our pearls, somehow, and avenged Chase's wyvern. Right as I got home, I made the substrate and the masks. Now we were ready. Now I know what you're saying. They're fighting the boss on day 87. It's supposed to be day 100. If you're saying that, then yes, you are correct. First off, I messed up the day cycle multiplier in the beginning of the playthrough. So basically we had a huge head start and we were super advanced for how early we were. Also, this map is just boring. There would literally be no point in stretching out a playthrough longer than this because there's just nothing to do. The map has 3 of the easiest caves and shortest caves in the game. When we actually look at the list of dinos that are on this map, there's hardly any compared to a map like the island. So there's just nothing to tame either. So I'm sorry, but no one really wants to continue this to day 100, so we're ending it now. We got to Green Ob shortly later and we prepared for the fight. So after celebrating how far we've come, I started the fight. Bloody Booger wishes us the best. Shit.
I didn't come through.
I didn't go through.
What?
Me and Logan didn't go through.
Me, Chase, and the UD didn't go through.
Are you serious?
I'm
Yes.
being so dead ass right now.
I'm in here.
It's only you.
Shit, dude. Well, there's nothing we can do about it now. I didn't make a backup. Yeah, so Logan and Chase didn't even get teleported because apparently they're not high enough level to access the alpha fight. And since Logan was riding Big Yeller the Yudi, it stayed behind too. So this was one man against an alpha Manticore with no Yudi. Also, we didn't even bring a Daedon either because I didn't think we were going to need one. The Manticore started shooting his purple spines at us pretty quickly, and these are the things that you need a gas mask for. They produce a poison like the poison wyvern that can affect you even while you're riding a dino. And it is strong. Even being in it for a second or two might be enough to knock you out cold. Also, there was death worms showing up, which I didn't know he could do because I've only ever fought this guy on Ragnarok, and he doesn't summon worms on that map. The rest of the fight was pretty simple. The Manticore wouldn't land, but he was barely attacking us, so the Rexes stayed at a high health most of the fight. So here's pretty much all the fight. I'm just gonna cut it up into little clips of us actually fighting him because half of it was him just flying around, so here you go. And the tricky part about this guy is once he gets to a low health, he summons rock golems. Now the rock golems actually hitting and hurting your dinos isn't the main issue. It's that they like to swarm you and block in your dinos so they can't get out. Luckily I was able to avoid this and we moved in and finished off the Manticore. Yeah!
Wait, oh, that's a shotgun.
Is he dead?
He's dead.
Yeah.
We won, guys.
Alright,
We
drop
won.
that one back.
So, that's about it. That's the story on how we beat Scorched Earth for the first time ever and did it in under 100 days. It was quite the journey in playing a map that's so different and learning how to really edit a decent video. At least I think it's decent. But this is the part that I'm going to beg and like for subs, so if you enjoyed the video at all, please do it. It really helps us out and really motivates us to make another video. And, you know, since this was the first time ever making a video like this, if you guys like it, then it won't be the last time we make a video like this. But I'm going to shut up now so you can enjoy this cutscene.
You continue to impress, Survivor. As you have grown in strength, I have been searching Helena's memories, finding what I have forgotten all these long years. Her friends, and the journeys they had. Was it all for nothing? No. It had to be done, so that one day you could exist. Together, you and I, we can put this right. You must travel onwards, Survivor, for your greatest trials are still to come.